to tell you about an interesting book which is called The World is Flat. This book was written by Milton Friedman, who was an American economist and educator. The main idea of this book is that the author argues that the world is flat, and he shows to his readers some chains of examples when something happens after another. According to this book, which we have read, Friedman lists 10 forces which led the world being flattened. And now I'm going to tell you about some of the 10 forces which the author mentions in his book. To begin with, the first factor which Milton Friedman wrote about was the fall of the Berlin Wall. Friedman said that the Cold War had been a struggle between two economic systems, capitalism and communism, and with the fall of the wall, there was only one system left, and everyone had to orient himself or herself to it one way or another. Friedman said that after the fall of the wall, planned economies of different countries shifted to democratic free market-oriented governments. For some, particularly among the older generations, this was an unwelcome transformation because communism was a great system for making people equally poor. In fact, there was no better system in the world for that than communism, whereas capitalism made people unequally rich. That's why the fall of the Berlin Wall was felt not just in Germany but in other places. That's why this fall was a world flattering event. The second factor which is important to mention is the World Wide Web. According to Friedman, the web made information sharing possible, and everyone can save, receive, read on the internet. Netscape helped people to interact with each other.
To continue Christina's speech, I would like to tell you about the workflow space. Friedman argues that people are able to collaborate while they are working remotely. People began to have an ability to connect at home, hotels, cafes, and so on, and keep in touch with others. Of course, this event made people's lives easier. Today we have reached a point in workflow that machines are talking to other machines over the internet using standardized protocols with no humans involved at that. Another factor which is essential to mention is uploading. With the help of this force, people began to download something for free, so they didn't have to buy something to read. They only need to press the button and download everything they need from Wikipedia or watch some educational videos on YouTube. Moreover, with the help of this force, people began to upload their articles, labors to public. There is also an important factor which led the world being flattened, and I should tell about it. This factor is outsourcing. This force means taking some specific but limited function that your company was doing in-house, for example, research, call centers, and having another company perform that exact same function for you, and then reintegrating the work back into your overall operation. The last but not the least force which Friedman wrote about is offshoring, which is different from outsourcing. Offshoring moves a factory or an operation to a different location. There it produces the same product in the very same way, only with cheaper labor, lower taxes, and lower healthcare costs.
The next point that is specified by the author is the supply chaining. He compares the modern supply chaining to a river using the example of Walmart. This chapter describes the process of shipping, sorting, packaging, distributing, purchasing, manufacturing, reordering, and then remanufacturing, sorting, and so on. The supply chaining is a method of collaboration between suppliers, traders, and customers to create value. The more these supply chains grow and multiply, the more they force the adoption of common standards between companies, and the efficiency of companies increases accordingly. The next point is insourcing. Friedman uses UPS, United Parcel Service, as a prime example of insourcing, where employees of a company perform services in addition to delivery, which is their main profile, for another company. For example, UPS repairs Toshiba computers on behalf of Toshiba. Insourcing came about because once the world went flat, small companies could go big. For example, UPS no longer just delivers packages, but synchronizes global supply chains for large and small companies.
I would like to expand on the last two flatness that Friedman mentions, which are informing and the so-called steroid. So informing is the ability to build your own supply chain, which consists of information, knowledge, and entertainment. So Google is the company that helps achieving this by presenting a search engine. So this engine flattens the world as it equals everyone on the globe, as everyone has the same access to any possible source. So moreover, this flattener fuels itself as the more research is being conducted, the more content is being pushed out at the same time. So this means empowerment of every person, as there are no boundaries left, meaning a flattening of the world. The steroids are new technologies, particularly wireless, that boost the other 9 flatness. So the author recognizes 6 of them in total, which is computing, instant messages and video sharing, phone calls via internet, video conferencing, advances in computer graphics, and the last one, the Uber steroid, is the new wireless technologies and devices. The basic idea of each steroid is the connectiveness without being tied to a specific place that it provides. Several examples given in the book are the Napster and Skype, which enable people all over the world to connect and collaborate and entertain each other. All in all, the book gives a good idea of why our world is driven to an inevitable flatness and explains it well. The information given would be useful to any person that is an active internet user and wants to understand how it all began. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed our presentation.